Welcome, dear listeners, to another episode of Music and Politics, the only fusion show on the internet where we listen to music and think philosophically about politics. Every episode we turn to music to listen and analyze as a dimension of politics, to music as a political text, from tone poems to tropicalia, from gospel to grunge, and opera to hip-hop. From Thailand to Tallinn, from Soweto to Surabaya, and from Mumbai to Mobile, we traverse the world. And we guarantee, before you leave us today, you will have your eardrums a-tingle and your brain cells a-quiver with something new and unexpected you won't forget anytime soon. And please remember to rate and review and to like and subscribe to Music and Politics, and to support us on Patreon at Music and Politics Pod, one word. Any help at all is so very appreciated. It will keep us going, and in return, we pledge our personal attention and support to you in your learning. Happy and bold listening ahead. Welcome, dear listeners. Thank you for joining us again for the last episode of Season 3, Episode 10, Season 3, about a 422-year-old passion play from the European Alps. We're bringing you to Austria, and we have a number of interesting conversations with actors and first-hand participants in this very special passion play. And you just heard the music for the film North Face, a very exciting film, German language. The composer, Christian Kolonovits, the same composer of this year's passion play. His talents retained, and they impart a great deal of cinematic excitement for this year's passion play. Let me share with you some thoughts to frame the interviews to come. The Passion Play is the original living theater, a ritual of belief in and of community, and of course, the theatrical chronicle of the last week, death, and resurrection of Jesus of Nazareth. The oldest in Europe is 422 years old and takes place every 6 years in Austria, just now completing its 5-month run this October. The story has been told for millennia, and its transition into theater goes back to the first living nativity scenes, which some believe to have been started by St. Francis himself in Greccio, Italy, in 1223. The Passion Play is Europe's first major theatrical endeavor since Greek tragedy, and even with an interim of a millennial and a half, it bears many marks of ancient Greek theater. The earliest references to the Passion plays of the Alps region in the early 1600s often refer to it as a tragedy. Indeed, it emerged out of the conditions of wartime and plague of the 30 Years' War, which absolutely ravaged Central Europe. Some say up to 1/3 of the population died at that time. The central dramatic crux of this Catholic Passion play is the death of a child at the hands of its parents, as also found in Orestia and Medea. And the other crux is the drama of the denial or recognition of a divine incarnation, as most clearly seen in the Bacchae of Euripides. The Passion play is also one mammoth piece of folk art on a monumental scale. 30% of the host town is involved, and not just as actors, as almost every role is cast for two, but most of the sets and costumes are also handcrafted by locals for whom the healthy pause in time between iterations is more than necessary. Such infrequency also helps to retain novelty and sets the play apart from any regular programming season or schedule. The recurrence every half-decade or so more resembles a religious pilgrimage, subverting any facile boundary between theatrical make-believe and the true myth of religious ritual. The production in Earl is distinct from its slightly more renowned neighbor in Oberammergau across the border in Bavaria. Earl is actually older, performed more frequently, every 6 instead of every 10 years, and unlike Oberammergau, it does not deliberately eschew advanced technology. Oberammergau still manages to convey an old-age feel of the open air with a massive airline hangar-style theater that largely uses natural light and is exposed to the elements. There are no spotlights, nor really any lighting design to speak of, nor is there any advanced amplification for either orchestra or actors. Earl, by contrast, feels like a moving film set in full surround. The role of the music this year puts this contrast in ever sharper relief. The talents of composer Christian Kolonovits, author of the film score for the film North Face, were retained by the production for the first time. An Austro-pop master and leader in the field of pop orchestral crossover, such as can be heard in his work with the Scorpions. His soundtrack is played by 40 orchestra members, all either born or now living in Earl, and it's embedded inside the staging and provides a narrative arc as significantly as does the newly written text itself. The actors confirm that the music provides the drama of living film and provides a constant pulse to enliven their acting. The music also really aids in the many contrasts and flashbacks more typical of film technique, the stormy interludes that provide the backstory for John the Baptist or Jesus as a child. The presence of microphones and electronic instruments are only the sonic tip of the iceberg when it comes to the marked ideological and theological clash between the two productions. Earl is adamantly modern in its techniques, but also defiantly traditional in its postulates of plot and characterization, if at a much quicker pace, as this production, which was once 6 hours, now only takes around 2 or so. This is the Passion play as a modern but unreformed tell-all. Indeed, every Sunday on stage, the largest parterre in Austria, by the way, the production is preceded by a mass, and the priest there is quick to point out the similarity in content between his mass and the Passion play. The relevance, he implies, is not about historical accuracy, but about getting the fundamentals right. Indeed, many of the liberties taken by this production are in the service of what a true believer might already hold close to their heart. For instance, whenever an angel is mentioned in the Bible story, this production chooses the figure of the Jesus child as it stands for truth and guiltlessness. This theatrical decision creates some notable curiosities, such as when the restorative chalice is supernaturally delivered to Jesus during his suffering, it's delivered by his own younger self on stage. A similarly gripping use of a child is the introduction of an entirely new character, a nameless activist young woman who in scene 5 confronts Pontius Pilate saying, "You live in a world that belongs to the children." It's affecting but curious, and this seems to relate more closely to Greta Thunberg than anything inside the gospel text. The theatrical third rail for any passion play is the lingering legacy of supersessionism or theological anti-Judaism. And there are many notable attempts in Earl at some form of reparation, from the use of Oriental pop to klezmer music, or the repeated singing of the Jewish hymn Sholem Aleichem. Yet that song is actually limited in its use to the welcoming of the Sabbath on Friday night, and thus, like the production's use of pita bread for matzah at the Last Supper, only comes close to the mark. While Oberammergau's recent production reframed Judas as a secular revolutionary, in Earl the audience may visit a classical staging of the greedy traitor. In some ways more disturbing than the source text itself, the entire Sanhedrin is shown throwing silver pieces at Judas and then proceed to pat him on the back one by one, with the high priest even embracing him around the stomach. Despite this all, the Passion Play remains a singular instance of stage performance as folk art and local patrimony. And after all, it may be one of the few places anywhere to see grown men in lederhosen crying in the theater. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We hope you enjoy the interviews, and the music at the end will actually be taken from the production itself. Please enjoy that, and you might want to check out my book-length review of the Oberammergau production. I'll put in a link in the show notes there. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and stay tuned for Season 4 of Music and Politics. Fare thee all so well. If you could please begin by introducing yourself and how you came to the Passion Play.
Okay, so my name is Peter Estal. I am 51 years old, and I'm the director of our Passion Club, so to say, and I'm the director since 2017, and I did my first production in 2019. So this is my second production, and well, as most of the children in Erl, I grew up with the Passion Play. So I first played in 1979, and every 6 years I played in the Passion Play. And so in 2017 they asked me if I want to become the new director, because the old one retired. And so I said, yeah, yes, this would be a great challenge for me and very interesting. And so I said yes, and yeah, that's how I became the director.
Is there a special energy in Errol that you feel that helps to explain how it survived so long here?
Yeah, I mean, it's historical in Erl because it's over 400 years old, and it's like my story, because all the children grow up with this theater, with this Passion Play. They grew up, and so like this year, so we have so many children in the Passion Play, and they grew up with this energy. And they say, when they are 7 or 8 years old, and they say, well, in 10 years or in 20 years, I want to play this character, or I want to play another character. So they grew up with this, and our youngest player was born on the 10th of April this year, and he's together with his mom, and the oldest player is 89 years old. So whole Erl is in this play, and that's why it is so popular and full of energy, and that's typical of Erl. Yes.
How are you able to manage the very complicated logistics of so many people on stage? And does it help that they're neighbors in the town?
Well, it's really difficult. It's tricky, but we started our rehearsals in autumn, and we started with all the main characters who has to speak something in the play, and with the whole crowd we started in March. So our professional director, because we also have a professional director, I'm just a director of the club, and so we work together. He always said, well, first of all, it's important that all the main characters know their text and so on, and then if they are prepared, we can go on with all the other people, with the crowd. And so we started in March, and of course there is we know how to do it. Yes, we have a long tradition. We know how to put the crowds in the correct positions, but of course there are always new ideas. Yeah. So first of all, it was really a little bit tricky, but after the third or fourth rehearsal, all the people know where they have to go to and where they have to leave the stage and where they have to come on the stage. So, well, it's tricky, but they manage it.
And why is it important in the world today, given the conditions, the turbulence? Why is it important, and what is the special meaning for even people who are not Catholic, let's say?
Of course, everybody knows the story, yes, but I always say you don't have to be that Catholic to understand our play, because our play is for everybody, and we have so many problems in our world today, all over the world, war and economy problems and so on, all over the world, and everybody has own problems. And our goal is that the people come to our play, they can relax for 3 hours, they can just think what we are playing, they can also think of their problems. It should be emotional. Yes. And if the people cry and if they are inspired by our play, that's the most important thing, I think. It's not to be that Catholic. That's not the most important thing. It's for everybody, and we have got a lot of people who believe in other religions. We have people who don't believe in anything, but they come to our play, and after our play they say, it was amazing. It was so emotional, and I can take something out of this play which helps me in my everyday life.
Do you think, for someone who knows very little about Austria, someone from the outside, do you think it forms a special part of Austrian identity that this continues in Austria, especially considering the fact that the last great world power that was Catholic was the Austrian Empire, even though it's a long time ago?
Well, this was really a long time ago. And I think it's our passion play is not typical of whole Austria. It's very typical for our region. It's very typical for Erl. And there are some villages around Erl, also some small villages. They don't understand us. They say, oh, come on, why do you have such a big community in Erl? Why do the whole people stay together that strong? And this is just because of the tradition and of the passion play. Because every 6 years, the whole community of Erl, the whole village, about 1,600 people, they stay together. They have one goal. They work for this goal, and it's amazing that such a small village can do this, right? So I wouldn't say it stands for whole Austria. It's really very special for our small village and for our community in Erl.
And a question whether or not it's difficult or challenging, because some of the parts, especially, let's say, Judas and Caiaphas, and even the mass scenes, the mob scenes, could be interpreted somehow as anti-Semitic vis-a-vis Jesus and the development of Christianity. Are you aware of that? Is that a concern? Is that a need to, let's say, reform or temper, especially the crowd scenes, let's say?
So this for us. This is very important. This is a very important thing to tell the people. This is not a play against the Jews, against the Jewish people. It's they didn't make anything wrong. The Jewish people. It was, and this is also we want to show the crowd that they were the Jewish crowd was manipulated by the high priests because they were afraid of Jesus. They were afraid that they can lose their power because they had a lot of power. They had there was the Roman Empire there, and they Pontius Pilatus said, "Okay, we are the Roman Empire, but you are the high priests. You can believe in what you want." And they had a lot of power, the high priests. And so they were afraid of Jesus, that they could lose the power. And this is what we want to show our visitors. Wasn't the Jews who were responsible for that. It was just the problem of the high priests. And the crowd, first of all, the crowd celebrated Jesus. When he came to Jerusalem, and you will see it in our play, they are celebrating. Did you see it yesterday?
Not yet. Today I will.
Today. Yeah, you will see it. They are celebrating Jesus when he enters Jerusalem. Yes, but then the high priests, they were afraid to lose their power. They tried to manipulate the crowd, and they also manipulated Pontius Pilatus. Yes, and so that why Jesus was killed, but not of the Jews. And this is for us. It's very important to tell this our visitors. Not the Jewish are responsible for that. It was the problem of the high priests, and also Judas. Judas. He loved Jesus. Judas loved Jesus. He was one of his best friends. But Judas always thought, well, he is the one who makes Israel great again. He is the one who can put out and push out the Romans out of Israel. With his power, he can do that. But Jesus always said, well, my power is not of this world. It's Jesus. It's my Father. It's God who is very important, and I don't want to fight. And Judas always thought, well, I have to do something that he will show his power to the Romans. And that's why he said the high priests where they can get Jesus. And after that, he thought, well, then he will show his power. But he didn't understand it. And Judas was not a bad guy. He just didn't get the message of Jesus.
So do you think Judas was more the revolutionary or the political minded rather than spiritual?
Yeah.
And populist, maybe even?
Of course. He was a little bit radical, maybe. He wanted to send the Romans out of Israel, and he thought Jesus is the one who can do it with his power. And as you said, he was not that spiritual guy, and he was more interested in getting Israel back to the Jewish people. And I think this was his problem. And this is also what we want to show our people.
A question finally about the function of music. How do you integrate music into your direction? What function does it have? What is different about this year's musical soundtrack?
Well, this year we have a very special soundtrack because our how do you say composer?
Composer.
Yeah, our composer Christian Kolonovits is a very, very famous composer in Austria. He produced a lot of music with very, very famous pop singers in Austria or bands. But he also did a lot of classical music, so he's very, very popular in Austria. And we asked him in 2022 if he is interested doing this music for our Passion Play. And everybody said, "How can you ask this guy? I mean, he's so popular, he's so famous. He's not interested in doing that." And then we talked to him, and then he said, "Well, I've never done this before. This would be cool." And so he wrote this music, and this music is really special because it's like a soundtrack of a movie. And it's the first year that all the characters in our play speak through microphones. It's the first time. And that's the reason why there can always be music in the background. And we come over the music with our microphones. And this creates a special emotion in our play, because you have always the music in the background, like a blockbuster or something like that, and you can all the characters can speak, and we will find it out later on that this creates very emotional parts in our play.
And how does it strike you as different? Because you've been in so many other earlier versions of the Passion Play. How was the music different in previous compared to today? To explain.
Yeah, as I said, it's the first time we have microphones, and a lot of Passion Plays in the 90s or 2000s. There was music, but through the music or during the music there was no text. Okay, and now we can manage it together. And for Erl, it's very typical that we develop all the time. We don't stay on one place. So, for example, we made a completely new production in 2013, where we have our 400 years anniversary. And in 2019, we played the same production again. We made some little changes, but all in all, it was the same production. And then the next year, we do something completely new. We have a new text, we have a new director, we have a new composer. Also, the stage is completely different. All the costumes are different in 2020. So we always want to develop, because time changes, and you cannot do a production we did in 20 years ago. This is not up to date, I would say. So it's very important for Erl always to go on, to change something. And this is what we also did
if
this
you would
year.
please introduce. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. This was wonderful.
My name is Christoph Estal, and I play Jesus at the Passionsspiele in Erl.
And could you please explain how the process for the participants in the Passion Play, how are they chosen? What is the criteria? How did you end up with the role of Jesus?
First of all, there is a team of the Passionsspiele, and they ask the whole population, or all inhabitants in Erl, if they want to play the Passion. And then you have a list now with 500, 600 names, and then they sit together and say, okay, this guy can play the Jesus, maybe this guy the Caiaphas, and so on and so on. And then this team asks you if you want to play that role, And so they asked me to play the Jesus, and after some weeks, and I decided with my wife that I play the role.
And how does that feel, first of all, to have such an important role?
You're a little bit proud, but it's in Erl it's a very big thing, because everybody looks at you, and it's the most important role of that passion play, and how can I say it? It's a big challenge. First of all, you have to eat less, or you have to get in shape, and then a year before you start with the text, you start with the regisseur, and then after 9-10 months you start playing. And it's a long process, it's a hard process, but now I feel very happy, and it's hard to play it, but after all it's great. You get so much emotions. Normally I'm working in a bank, and with that job you don't have these experiences and these emotions, but with that role you get it, and I feel very happy with that.
Is there an effort to make it more realistic for the audience, for the public? And do you even personally feel like you've come closer to what Jesus might have felt at that time?
I try to play it that Jesus was on that time a human. It was one of us. He was sad, he was happy, he was angry, and I try to bring that emotions also to the audience. And a year ago, I talked with a priest, and he said, if I know the series or the film The Chosen.
Yes.
And I said no. I never heard of that. And so I started with The Chosen. First season, second, third, and so on and so on. And I saw Jonathan Rumi as Jesus, and I thought, wow, I also want to play it like him. Well, I tried to play it like him, because there is so much personality, and it's not a god. It's one of us, and yeah, that were all points for me to work on that role.
What is the meaning of the Passion Play today, in our world today, given all of the political turbulence? Why is it important that it continues, this old tradition?
How is it called in English? Menschlichkeit, humanity.
Humanity.
I think humanity is the most important thing, such in these times, and we tried with that play to bring humanity in the audience to the people. And I think it's an old story, but the point humanity stands overall, and in these days it's the most important thing.
Do you think there's a difference between audience members or perspectives from, let's say, baptized Catholics as opposed to, let's say, Protestants or Orthodox Christians, or obviously even non-Christians?
In this season or in this year, we realized that not only Catholics come to us, also evangelisch, Protestants, yeah, Jews, also Muslims, and I think you don't have to be every Sunday in the church or to that you can see that play. I think you just have to be open-minded. You have to come with an open heart, or maybe you have some challenges in your life, and then you are right here in that play, because it's not important what you believe. It's important that you are open for humanity and see the story and why they are all acting, warum die Protagonisten so gehandelt haben.
Right. Why did the protagonists act in the way they did?
Yeah,
what was their motivation?
Yeah, the Sanhedrin and also Pilatus and also Judas and Jesus and the whole Jesus gang, we said. Yeah, I think that's the most important thing.
Do you think that it's necessary to depict the betrayal of Jesus because that's such a critical point in the story? Or are there any positive sides to, let's say, the character of Judas, or even the Caiaphas? Are there any positive sides to them?
I think so. I think in our play, these protagonists have their logical motives, that sie so gehandelt haben. Caiaphas is a politician, and he said, okay, a new king, it's dangerous. To the Roman Imperium, they kill us. We have problems with that Jesus, so we have to kill him. And also Pilatus wasn't really happy to work or to lead the Jerusalem, and so he also had that motive, that to have trouble with the population of Jerusalem is not good for him, and yeah, so how to say, also the role of the Judas is a little bit different than to the other plays, because it's not the money. It's not the money. He's a fanatic. He said, so there is our king. We are in Jerusalem. Let's go. We make him now to the king. We fight, and we want freedom. We want our king, and he was in a tunnel. No left, no right. He said, Jesus is my new king. He is the Son of Man. Oh, yeah. And that was the reason why he handled, or why he betrayed him, or yeah.
Is there a special energy in Errol? Why do you think it's survived so long, specifically here?
You get born in this tradition. The first season I was 3. I have 2 boys, 4 and 1. They also play now. They are today on stage. That's normal. You will see today a lot of children. Nearby 100 children between 1 year or 4 months to 15, 14. So they all get born in this tradition, and in 6 years they get older and have maybe smaller roads, and so there's always a fire also, and maybe that's the reason. When we started with Passion Play now, I think 50 people would play, but with this tradition, with that experience and the feelings, also my 2 weeks ago, my neighbors, they're 11 and 10. I walked through the street, and then I saw them play the Passion Friday afternoon. They built a cross. One played Jesus, one was Caiaphas, and they played. That's normal, and I think that's the reason. The children have fun. They like it. They feel very good to play it. You will see today, and they are happy when in 6 years they also start playing.
Just a final question. I'm just curious. Have you ever been to the Oberammergau Passion Play in Bavaria?
No.
Do you have any sense of what differentiates the two?
I think the big difference is that Oberammergau is very traditional. They play in an old text. Also very professional, very, very good. In Erl, it's a little bit different. In Erl, you will every 12 years you have a new music, you have a new text, new regisseur. I think that's the big difference. You already the story is the same, but the Inszenierung will always change. Yeah, always change, and that's very important. Also for the children or teenagers, 14, 19. They like this production. They got feelings with this production. That's very important. Also for the coming decades.
And just a very last question. How does the music function for you? How does it interface with your theatrical choices on stage? What does it do for you?
Music is very important. When I'm not acting, I also play in an orchestra. Also, music is for me very, very important. Also, during the acting. The last productions, it was like this: the text, music, new scene, text, music. Now, the music is a second level, like a film. You have the scene, you have the text, and to get more emotions in this scene, the music starts. And for me, for acting, I love it because it's easier to get the emotions. And I think also for the audience, it's great to watch and get the feelings.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
If you would please introduce yourself and explain what role you're playing and how you feel playing this role.
Yeah, my name is Gerhard Kneringer. I'm 40 years old. And this season I have the great honor of portraying the High Priest Caiaphas. The previous 3 sessions, I played the role of Judas. And it's for us, it's an honor to play this story, I would say, one of the greatest stories, if not the greatest story. And so, yeah, this is an honor for us to play this.
And these are also somewhat controversial roles, or at least sometimes they're depicted as the antagonists of Jesus.
Yeah.
Do you see any positive or understandable side to Caiaphas and Judas?
Yeah. To me, or of these two roles?
For both.
For both.
Yeah.
For me, of course. Yeah. Why? The story needs them to. Jesus told the story before, so how it ends, and so that it ends like it had to end. These two persons were very important. So otherwise, maybe he would live today.
So in a way, they were fulfilling the mission from the beginning, would you say? They were part of a larger plan.
They were part of a larger plan, of course, yeah. They were a part of the plan from God. So otherwise he couldn't show the world that his son, and maybe it's possible to defend the death.
Do you think that it's a different experience in the audience for someone who's baptized Catholic as opposed to someone who's Protestant or Orthodox or even not Christian at all?
No, I don't think so. Because the story, as we show the story, I think it's really near to the real life now. So there are people, they are in the one moment the best friend of him, and and you want to be near to them, and a few minutes, a few days later, they are completely against him. So, and this is also what we have today in the world, if we see.
Do you mean, can you say more about that? Do you mean betrayal, or is it dishonesty or duplicity? How would you explain the relevance, given the turbulence in the world today, I mean, the political, economic, climatological uncertainty?
Maybe if we see the Near East, Palestine and Israel and so on, so there are nearly exactly the same problems like 2,000 years before. So there are different ways to live, and so I think the story, unfortunately, will never be told to the end. So it's just on the way.
Could you say more? Which parallels do you see? What echoes from the past are in the present?
In German, I would tell you very, very fast. So I had to. How can I say?
Können auch ein paar Worte auf Deutsch. Ich kann es übersetzen.
This is very good.
No
ja, wenn man den Konflikt zwischen den verschiedenen Bevölkerungsschichten, Bevölkerungsgruppen sieht, dann zieht sich das über die Jahrtausende eigentlich. Und dass Palästina, Israel eigentlich niemand zu 100% weiß, wem gehört was, wer ist wo zugehörig. Und
there's a conflict between the right or the belonging of various population divisions in the same region today.
Yeah.
Is there a special energy that you feel in Erl that's distinct, that helps to explain why this has survived so long here?
Yes, it's a good question. I always say, if we would start a passion play right now without the history, so it doesn't work. It's not possible. I think it's all about the tradition. So it's for the kids. It's a tradition to go to the Passion Play. Other kids in the neighborhoods or in the other towns, they say, why in your holidays, why you go every week, 2 days, 3 days to the Passion Play? We go swimming. And this is a question what for us doesn't exist. But we can't explain. No, it's just because it's the tradition. It's a long time tradition.
So the inhabitants of the neighboring towns, sometimes they're skeptical or they don't understand why. Okay.
So they say, why you spend your holiday on this project? It's.
Do you think it's significant for Austrian identity that, in particular, this comes out of Austria, especially considering that, I mean, a long time ago, the Austrian Empire was the last great Catholic world power.
Yeah. I don't really know what to say. It's a little bit difficult.
Let's talk about the music maybe for a second. How do you, in your performance on stage as an actor, how do you interact with the music? How does it influence your choices?
It's a completely new music. It's also for us a new experience because until the last season there was the music stops, so we do our dialogues, then the music starts, we stop, the music stops, we do our dialogues. So right now it's like a cinematic music. So there is the music in the underground or in the background, and we have to do our dialogues beyond the music.
And how would you describe the sonic world of the music? Is there some classical, some more pop elements, or how?
Yeah, there are elements from classic, of course. Yeah. So there also is the live performing orchestra, but there are also maybe I'm not sure if it's the right word, influences from the region, from Palestine, from the Near East, and the music it's completely near. It's completely different to the musicians before, but it's very impressive.
That's great. And I'm just curious, have you ever been to Oberammergau? What makes Earl distinctive?
We are more authentic. Oberammergau is more commercial, maybe a little bit too commercial, and we wouldn't. How can I say? I tried in German, it was short. Wir würden es nicht in die Welt hinaus posaunen, dass wir jetzt besser sind wie Oberammergau, weil das dem christlichen Gedanken und dem Spiel nicht Genüge täte. Aber
we wouldn't pronounce that we're better than Oberammergau because this goes against the Christian value.
Und in Germany there is a small sentence. Erl spielt zu einfachen Preisen, um den Höchsten zu ehren, und Oberammergau spielt zu höchsten Preisen.
Okay, so Earl plays to the lowest price but the highest values, and it's the opposite for Oberammergau.
But we wouldn't pronounce.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time. This is most appreciated.
My English is not the best, but I hope it's fine for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Would you please introduce yourself and say what role you're playing and how you feel about it?
Yes. My name is Isabella Anka. I'm 32 years old and I'm playing the role of Maria Magdalena.
And she's depicted almost equally with the other apostles.
Yes.
How do you feel about that? Is that something that there was discussion about in the production and the preparation?
I think it was not a discussion. For me, it was like a very big honor to play this role, and it is. I think it's really cool that Magdalena and the apostles are like equal at the same level.
And what broader meaning do you think it has for women in the world today to see this depiction?
So Magdalena is like a very strong and independent woman in the Passionsspiele, and she is, how do you say that in English? She is fighting for women's rights, for the rights of women, and I think this is very important for the time we are living in right now. So, yes.
There's also a young woman, Sarah, a character who speaks to Pilatus, almost like Greta Thunberg, would you say?
Yes, of course. Yeah. So she is also fighting for the rights of kids, and I think what she is saying is really meaningful for the time we live in.
And how do you think it's different for an audience that is made up of baptized Catholics as opposed to non-Catholics, Protestants, other religions? Do you think that it speaks differently to different people?
Yes, I think you don't have to be Catholic or that you're into a, how do you say that, Kirchengemeinschaft?
Yeah, in a Christian
community. Yes. Because in Austria we all know the story of Jesus, but it's very interesting that you also pick some themes, not only from the story of Jesus. So you also have some topics from the normal life, what is important, and also I think it's really interesting that what is Werte? Values, because they are really good in the Catholic. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
How does the music impact upon your acting? How does it interact when you hear the music and you speak together?
Yeah.
What kind of interaction is there?
At the beginning, it was a bit difficult because you have to hear the music and you have to act with the music. But it's really beautiful, actually, because it's the emotions get more with the music.
And it's a very interesting mix of music. There's some like Oriental, some even like klezmer-like. What do you think about how Judas is depicted, or the Sanhedrin, Caiaphas is depicted? Do you think that there is an understanding of that Jesus is treated unfairly?
Yes, I think so, that he is treated unfairly, but it has to be like this. So Jesus also told everyone that it has to be like that. So.
And how is it to be a part of this community in general? Do you think that there's a special energy in Earl?
Yes, of course. Yes, it's really, really special, and so everyone is so happy for each other, and that's so kind and so nice, and it's really an honor to play here with all the people from Earl.
And one final question: have you seen previous Passionsspiele here?
Yes. I've been as a child at some places, and the next one is playing in, I forgot the name of it. But we all said that we want to go together and see this. Yes.
Does this
play.
one, does it feel different than what you saw as a child?
Yeah,
this
it's
production?
everywhere it's a bit different. So many, or most of them are very traditional. And so I think that in Erl, it's very modern. But I think it's a good way to get more people interested in.
Great. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. It was wonderful.
So now you're.
that about does it for us. We hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you for tuning in, our dear listeners. Please remember to rate and review and to like and subscribe to Music and Politics, the only show on the internet that combines musical grooves with philosophical insights from all around the world. Please do send any questions, thoughts, comments, and suggestions to musicandpoliticspod@gmail.com. That's one word lowercase, musicandpoliticspod. And please do find us out on Patreon. Again, at Music and Politics Pod, one word lowercase. There you can support us to keep us going to see another day. And in exchange for the cost of an overpriced cup of coffee, we will provide curated readings and playlists from what you have already heard and where you can go next on your own journey into music and politics. Fare thee all so well.